Okay, good morning. First, I'd like to acknowledge who's standing with me. Stacy Morano, the Office of the State Comptroller. Christine Cullen, the U.S. Postal Inspector. From my office, Diane Perez, Betty Rodriguez, Rebecca Weiner. We have some of the people who were victimized by this scam. Laura Albergo, Don Carlson, and Linda Soliday. Okay, so today I'm happy to announce that my office has recovered and is in the process of redistributing nearly $5 million to 48 victims of a Nassau County-based Ponzi scheme. Last year, we arrested the two masterminds behind this operation and charged them with scamming at least 50 people, including many seniors, out of nearly $12 million. Kevin Brody from Pennsylvania was sentenced to 2 1/3 to 7 years in prison last month after pleading guilty to grand larceny in the 2nd degree and conspiracy in the 4th degree. Matthew Eckstein from Syosset is expected to be sentenced in December to 3 1/3 to 10 years in prison after pleading guilty last month also to grand larceny in the 1st degree and conspiracy in the 4th degree. So this is an unusually happy ending to a case that could have ended up very differently. Thanks to the diligent work of our prosecutors, we were able to freeze all the known assets of the defendants, including their bank accounts and real estate properties. That allowed us to recover to date approximately $4.6 million in restitution for these victims, some of whom lost most or all of their retirement savings. We're still working on collecting additional funds for restitution for those victims. Today, we start to return these funds to these victims. Each victim, and you'll hear from two shortly, will receive a portion of the money that was recovered based on their net loss. Their payments range from $10,000 to $300,000. Our investigation into these defendants began in November of 2017 when an elderly victim reported a large financial loss. Shortly after, we were able to unravel their scheme. Mr. Eckstein used some of the stolen funds for a down payment on his home, which included a swimming pool and a tennis court. Eckstein's house is currently in foreclosure, and my office has a lien on it for any surplus from a foreclosure sale. This was one of the largest mass victim financial schemes we have ever uncovered in Nassau County. In many cases, these defendants worked with and knew these victims for a long period of time, sometimes as long as 30 years. They took advantage of that trust and those relationships and stole hard-earned money from innocent people. This investigation is the result of an excellent partnership that included the Attorney General's Office, U.S. Postal Inspection Service, the FBI, SEC, FINRA, and Comptroller DiNapoli's office. I thank all these offices for their professionalism and excellence. So thank you. Right now I'm going to distribute 3 of these checks to 3 of our victims. First to Linda Soliday. There you go, Linda.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Don Carlson. Don,
Thank you very much.
thank you. And Laura Albergo. There you go, Laura. Okay, so right now I think you're going to hear from Don. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Excuse me. My name is Don Carlson, and I'm one of the victims. I have a statement. Over a number of years, Matthew Eckstein endeared himself to a number of people who put their trust in him as a personal advisor. He used that face to encourage us to make safe interest, low interest loan investments, in what turned out to be his personal bank account. I can't even explain the feelings I had on the afternoon of June 12, 2018, when I saw his face on News 12 and he was arrested for a Ponzi scheme. To say I was dumbfounded, incredulous, and ultimately outraged does not even come close. I realized that he may have taken the money from my other retirement accounts too, so I hurried home from work frantically to contact those investment services to see if my money was still there. Then I realized he didn't file my taxes for 2017, so now I had to go to the IRS and deal with penalties and fines. The next morning, I went to the Nassau District Attorney Office, and I met with Betty Rodriguez and Randy Cox. They did a terrific job in prosecuting this villain. The last 15 months have been a roller coaster for all of us who have been involved. Time and again, Eckstein has shown up at court and pled not guilty to string this thing along. When he finally did plead guilty last month, there was very little money for restitution. He stole $5 million and has very little to give us back. I'm young enough to recover, but there are a number of senior citizens that have been duped and don't have the time to recover. I can't imagine how he became such a callous reprobate. My wish for him is that he spends as much time in jail as he did living the high life on our money. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Don. Laura, you ready? Yeah.
Sure. I'm Laura Albergo, and I also knew Matthew for 30 plus years. He used to be my parents' financial advisor. So when I retired in 2011, I contacted him, and he became my financial advisor. I had saved money over the 30 years plus years that I worked, and Matthew said, "Oh, I have a good investment for you, ConMac. It's like a CD. You'll never lose your principal. So why don't we do that?" So I gave him the money, and he invested it. And I used to get interest payments on it, and then all of a sudden the interest payments stopped. And then it was the same thing. I was chasing after him for my money. You could never get him on the phone. He had all sorts of excuses. And, I knew him for such a long time, and I trusted him. And I even led my sister on to him as her financial advisor, and he stole her money as well. And, you work hard for your whole life, and this guy has the nerve to steal the money just out of you. It's just a terrible thing to fund his own lifestyle. So I thank the DA's office, because without them, we would have not gotten any money back. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any questions?
It sounds like it's a la Bernie Madoff.
Yeah. I mean, this is a person who took advantage of personal relationships and people that trusted him. And it was just a big Ponzi scheme. He was just borrowing against everyone. And the only thing that was consistent was he was funding his own lifestyle. As they said, he was living high off of other people's hard-earned money. So, we're gratified that we're able to give back some of the money. We're going to still keep working so that we can get some more back for these people. But as Don said, some of these are seniors, and that was their life savings. And we can only get a fraction of that money back. But, hopefully we'll be able to get more back. So ultimately, it's a feel-good story in the sense that we were able to get some money back. Often we can't. So again, I just like to commend everyone here and my prosecutors for the work that they did, making sure that the money was attached and that we could get it and distribute it to these people.
How difficult of a job is it to get, it's not all of it, it's a portion of it, but how difficult of a job is it for the office to get in and get money back?
Yeah, it's very difficult. And we have to file civil suits, and we have a forfeiture unit. It is difficult, and you have to make the commitment so that we can make people whole. Our business is usually just criminal charges, but in cases like this, it's heartbreaking for us to see what happened to so many good people that were just trying to set up a nest egg for their retirement. So we did everything we could so we can get some money back for them.
You don't often hear about the restitution, so is it because you froze it quickly enough that they still had something in the bank?
Yes, I mean, that's part of it, that we acted quickly and that we have the expertise to do it and attach it and then go into court and make the arguments that were necessary for us to obtain that money back again. So it's a combination of a lot of hard work and a lot of expertise.
Simply put, describe a Ponzi scheme. We all have an idea of what it is, but can you just kind of put it into a couple sentences for us?
Well, I mean, basically, they take money from one person and they use that they keep getting money from other people to pay the original people back. I mean, I can't really put it into words that are that easy, but it's basically they keep taking money, and so as they're promising some payments back based on premiums or whatever. So they weren't earning that money. They were just taking it from other people. And the Ponzi scheme builds with as many people as you can suck into it. At some point, though, it all comes crumbling down because you don't have any more money to distribute. As what happened in Angela's case, she was calling him and calling him. Suddenly, he stopped making payments. He needed to get more people into his scheme to get their initial money to hand out to the original investors.
Then give them false reports that
Yes.
indicated that their money was
Yes,
growing?
yes, he would give them false statements, just like Madoff did, indicating what interest was earned, what they were paying out, as if they had really invested that money, where he had really just invested it in himself. Yeah.
Just step up to the mic and just maybe, you said that your reaction, in June, you said, right?
June 2018, yes.
So can you compare the feeling from last year to what you're feeling today when you see the check?
Well, it's a little bit of a better feeling, but it's still a sad feeling because we all are out a lot of money, but at least it's something come back, and you don't want to get too happy about it, but people did a great job in getting this money back. It could be worse. So, it's hard to compare. It's just the outrage I felt back then. It's being scared, too. Like, what happened? And the other part is figuring out that you misjudged this guy that you knew for so long, that was you confided in. He asked about your family. He knew your family. And then he goes and just uses all that. And I mean, if my mom was alive, he probably would have taken all her money. But she loved him.
Were there signs that maybe you missed along the way? That
You go look back. He did my taxes and all for years. He was very honest. I gave him all my information. He never fudged. Oh, you can get more in your charitable deductions. He never did that. He did whatever I gave him. So I thought, this guy's a straight shooter, So it's just hard to, it's just hard to put in words, how what's the word? The feeling that you get when you've been duped by someone that you trusted.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.